Now, the clamor by organized labor for a new national minimum wage for workers in Nigeria is still generating a lot of debate and may be followed by an industrial action if government and labor do not reach a compromise. Well, the disagreement between labor and government on the amount agreed upon by the 30-man tripartite committee inaugurated by President BUHARI last year is yet to be resolved now. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria has issued an interim injunction stopping the planned national strike by Labour for Tuesday, 6th of November. But Labour is insisting on proceeding on the planned strike. Well, there are indications that the planned strike by the organized Labour may be averted as members of the Tripartite Committee on Minimum Wage are currently meeting. But if the outcome is not on an agreeable and acceptable level by all parties and Labour eventually proceed on the planned strike, what will be the implication of the strike? Well, along that side, we are still actually taking a look at what exactly will be the implication on the economy if we still get what we're supposed to be getting as minimum wage. Well, these are some of the pointers for us on Nigeria Today. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu. With me in the studio to discuss the new minimum wage, I'd like to welcome and the implication on Nigeria's economy. I'd like to welcome Chidi Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst. Welcome to the program. Thanks for having me. Good evening, Nigerians. I hope you are not looking forward to this strike, like some members of the public are actually say, okay, maybe it's the time to rest, actually. But then there's always implication either way. Yeah, sure. Whether, Now, this is not the best of time for Nigerian workers because they're actually looking forward to something great. And at the same time, no one really wants to sit at home. It's okay, at least the economy is being grounded. What's your outlook for the demand, the agitation for new wage? This is something that is in the ILO convention. So it's something that we should do.
Well, I really do hope that this is averted, because the outlook is very bleak, very ominous. More so for the economy that is still on tenterhooks, and we are just technically out of recession, and a prolonged or protracted, indefinite, comprehensive strike at this point in time will spell doom for the economy. Don't also forget that aside the economy, even the social cost is huge. There's what is called occupational therapy. You wake up, you have somewhere to go. You know, it helps you grow healthy. It's not necessarily the money you are making from the job, but the fact that you have somewhere to look up to.
And sometimes it's a passion.
Exactly. I'm sure that all of you in the media sector are working for passion. Not necessarily because of the remuneration, because if it were to be for remuneration, you possibly would have been somewhere in Wuse Market with your stalls making thousands and millions. But you see, whatever you are passionate about, whether you get paid commensurably or not, you want to do it. So the social cost is also to be seen in terms of unwanted pregnancies. You know, you can just imagine husband and wife who are public servants just staying, you know, at home in this. We are approaching the Harmattan season. Just imagine that.
Well, for those who are within that childbearing age, or those who get fertile enough to do that anyway. But Judy, let's take a look at the minimum wage itself. Is it justifiable what Labour is putting forward? Yes, I know. Cost of things have actually gone way beyond most people, and like we said, we're actually technically out of recession. A whole lot of families are actually under the burden of so many huge things. Let me use the word. And for increase anywhere, it makes a lot of difference. Is it too much what the workers are asking for?
No. Somebody was even doing it. I was trying to do a breakdown earlier today. I was like, okay, even if 30,000 is approved, that would be like 250 naira per day. You know, although I'm not sure that math is right. But let's assume it's even 8,000 naira per day. You know, 30 days make one pay. And we say in common balance, 30 days make one pay. So let's assume that you get an average of 1,000 naira for every day you work, or maybe 1,250 naira since you don't work on Saturday or Sunday. At least for some mainstream public servants. Now, how much does that come to in a month? You see, over the years, what Nigerians have been experiencing is what is called rising cost of living rather than rising standard of living. And you know, for Nigerian workers to really be productive, they need increase in their standard of living, not in the cost of living. Now, you have a scenario where dependency ratio has even gone astronomical. One person is working, about 15, 20 people are depending on that one person that is working, whether it's level 8 or level 10 or level 17. Whatever levels you are, your levels cannot get you anywhere. Because, I mean, it's not about, if you look at the Maslow's theory of human needs, apart from food, you need shelter, you need clothing, you need, you know, basic things of life, and you need to also fulfill your aspirations in life. You need some extra income to guarantee your well-being in old age, because you see a lot of senior citizens who are begging to live, which should not be. Because if they have been well taken care of in their retirement, it will have been a better thing. And as we speak, so 30,000, I mean, coming to your question precisely, 30,000 still pays to insignificant. I do understand that it's a dicey situation we have. 18,000, about 27 states are allegedly still owing worker salary out of 36. So if you take it down to 30,000 minimum wage, then you could be rest assured maybe even the ones that about the 9 that are paying will not even be able to pay. But I think where there's a will, there will be a way. The bottom line is that if you can reduce the cost of governance, I mean, let's reduce some of the luxury items that our leaders indulge in. You know, this on mind-boggling luxurious life that they live at our own expense, enjoying
the priorities of what governance should be actually with those people.
You know, it's not. I mean, you have a scenario where members of the National Assembly, members of some DGs of ministries, departments, and agencies, have so much at their expense. In spite of the efficiency unit of this administration, you still have people living large, having aids, coterie of aids that they can do without. The security vote issue is still there in billions, taken with no account by different political leaders. And if you save some of these monies, you can actually pay the minimum wage with ease. Apart from that, if we can learn to expand our resource base, diversify the economy as the administration is trying to do, let's bring there are several, even for agriculture, you can do value addition.
Because I was going to say, some of the proposal, or at least some of the outlook for the government of this diversification of the economy, like we've said, they've taken a look at agriculture, at least it's picking up at some other areas. Now, we just talked about what for us to actually increase our resource base for the economy. If states, because of course this is what is going to be happening between, not just for the federal government now, we're looking at states being able to actually comfortably pay. Now, what should they be doing different? Because if at this 18,000 presently, like we said, many are owing, 27 are owing. So how do we now push for them to actually look out to see what could be done to actually come to this new phase that Labour or the tripartite
part of the argument that the Nigerian Governors Forum has put on the table right from 2015 has been that there is a need to review the revenue allocation formula in favor of the states. I mean, right now the federal government takes 52%, states take 48%, and with local government and all of that. So that if more resources can be devolved to the states, they will find it convenient to pay. whatever amount. But that is also, in debating this issue of minimum wage, we should not also lose focus of the private sector, the organized private sector, who, in my own estimation, are even higher employer of labor, because the entire workforce of the federal government is not up to 100,000 nationwide. It's not up to 100,000. Well, maybe if you had those of states and all of that, it comes to less than maybe half a million. Now you have the informal and formal private sector employing the bulk of the workers, and if they said that they can afford to pay 30,000, because I was made to understand that they even have an advert out today that they agree to 30,000 minimum wage. I think the federal government, where there's a will, there will be a way. Well, some of the arguments that have been put up, apart from doing the revenue, devolving more resources to the states, is also rationalization of staff. Rationalization does not necessarily mean laying off staff. You can retrain them to fit into new roles within the same organization. I don't know whether you get my drift. Today, nobody hires a typist any longer in any organization, private or public. In my days, you depend on typists to do so many things. But technology has taken over, and those roles have been wiped out. Even with confidential secretary, there's nothing confidential in any secretary anywhere. So people have to go and learn how to use ICT, information communication technology, and they have been able to fit into 21st century skills set. So I think if government looks around that, you can actually retrain some of the staff rather than laying them off to be able to fit into new roles. And of course, when we talk about wages, wages can be made to match with productivity. I mean, in the private sector where I'm very more familiar, where I've worked, you don't get automatic promotion. You have to earn your promotion. There is what is called annual, assessment. I know they do after you fill after form in the public service, but in the private sector, you are doing. I've forgotten the exact word that we use. That you have to pass before you can even think of getting a raise or even getting promoted. By and large, this minimum wage will tighten nuts and bolts of many things. It will boost productivity. It will also raise discipline level, because the employer will want to see value for money. If I'm giving you more money, I want to see more productivity. Well, you understand? Okay,
Jide, I'm sure those are some of the areas we'll consider when we return from this break. Of course, for some already too, they are looking at the fact that new minimum wage for workers might bring another form of inflation. Wherever that is going to be hinged upon, we'll find out from you once we get back from this break. You're watching Nigeria Today, and our focus is on the new minimum wage and implication on the economy. We'll be right back after this break.
The Nigerian Television Authority News 24 channel, your dependable all-round news station, offering you world-class news programs, documentaries, spotlights, promos and information highlights. Take advantage of our network reach and advertise your interest goods and services with us. NTA News 24, first among equals with digital broadcasting. You can reach us on channel 21 terrestrial TV and channel 101 on the Star Times platform. For more inquiries, please call Henry on 0803 379 0884. Join us today.
Yes, welcome back. If you just tuned in, the program is Nigeria Today, and our focus is on the new minimum wage. Of course, the negotiations are still on, and Labour is proposing a strike action for November 6th, that's tomorrow, Tuesday. And, of course, whichever way the pendulum is going to swing, we are considering what benefits it will be for all and the interest of the country. Okay, Jide Ojo is still in the studio. I have another guest joining me on set. I'd like to welcome Ayo Akonji. He's also a public affairs analyst. Ayo, good evening.
Good evening, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the program. Yes,
thank you.
Before, I'm sure you had the opportunity of listening to Jide's explanation.
Yeah.
There is also the aspect of social costs, social implication. We've already talked about that. But new minimum wage for workers in Nigeria, the opportunities are there, so also the implication for the economy. What's your take?
I mean, I think it's a very good decision from both parties, both the government and the labor. And the tripartite committee is actually doing so well on it. But I think right now we have to be, we have to try and actually call NLC and TUC to be consider their actions tomorrow. Shutting down the country is not what we're doing right now. I mean, the last time the minimum wage was reviewed was in 2009, thereabout, during the time of former President Umaru Yar'Adua. Now, 8 years afterwards, now it's been reviewed by 31.1% increment from 18,000 to 24,500 naira. This is, it's not the best, but I mean, you can see a progress from how it used to be in the past. I'll have to remind people, Nigerians, that in 2015, about 27 states were owing salaries. So it tells you how the government is committed to the Nigerian people. The president made that really very clear to see how they can bail out these states with more funds, which was to the tune of over 600 billion naira, and also pay them back their Paris Club refund. So negotiations should continue. I think the strike shouldn't come into. We keep praying to them that they shall reconsider their actions and look out for government's interest also. You have to look out for the money you're earning to now see how much can you begin to pay again around. And you can see that the government is trying to say they can spend about 30% on infrastructure. And I think within the past 2 years, they've combined efforts of about 2.7 trillion naira. So do we want more money on recurrent or more capital? So these are pros and cons. But I think in the summary of it, it's desirable to have an increment. But we have to be very realistic in wanting to have an increment.
Well, Jide, realities are on ground for most people. Just before the break, I was asking, there are those who are of the opinion that once this minimum wage come into effect, whether we get to that 30 or whatever it is we get, at the end of the day, inflation sets in. Because other parts of the society, other sectors definitely look here, okay, the workers have something new. Let's move. And that is already saying no, there's no empirical data to actually prove that.
Exactly. I think that is begging the question. Even without minimum wage, we have inflation. There was a spike in August. So what are we talking about? The bottom line is that, do the workers deserve to have this? And I will say yes. I told you about comparison between rising cost of living and rising standard of living. Now, what Nigerian workers have been experiencing over the years, over the decades, has been rising cost of living. So many of us can't pay our rents. The dependency ratio is on the increase. The jobs are not there for you to pick. And, you have graduates who are still depending on their parents, even though they are in their 40s. Just imagine that a 40-year-old still living with their parents in their family homes. They can't marry because the jobs are not there, because now many of them are having to rely on their fathers and mothers' pensions to continue to eke out.
For those whose pensions are being paid.
For those who, so what we are saying is that we need to do something. We need to reverse the order of doing things. If it's about workers' salary that will bring about inflation can come even without workers' increase. Like I said, as we go into the campaign period, there will be spike in inflation because politicians are going to spend a lot of money on their campaigns, and that will definitely warrant inflation. But beyond and above that, we must also realize that even if that agreement is struck today, it's not going to come into effect immediately. The president will still have to sponsor an executive bill to the National Assembly to give effect to the payment. And I don't see that happening before May 29. Do you know why? I'm not being pessimistic. The point is, I follow through. The last minimum wage took an average of 2 years. Yes. 2 years. So it came into effect in 2011. Labour has been waiting since 2016. This is 2018, 2 years after.
That was why Labour is getting
exactly. So you cannot blame Labour for being restive, for demanding what is right for them. Because if you want to curb corruption, you have to pay people well. If you don't pay people well, there is no way they will not be corrupt. And this administration has been fighting corruption, blocking so many loopholes. So if people don't have opportunity to steal again, they have to live on their wages. And if their wages are not being paid, for God's sake, you don't expect them not to go on strike. The bottom line is that government should do the needful. Was there an agreement of 30,000 that is being denied by government? If the organized private sector said yes, there was an agreement, then government is duty bound to approve that. Because like I said, it will take another 6 months or thereabout for the best of intention. Even though we are going into the electionary period, you will not have a quorum at the National Assembly to even consider this executive bill when it eventually settled.
But if it becomes a matter of urgency, wouldn't there?
You think these people will want to do this?
Sure.
Well, I hope so. I want to share your opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm an optimist in this.
Okay.
And I can tell you that already government has said you have to do cost analysis. Government is ready to pay 24,500 naira, and this was agreed upon when they had
22,500.
That's what the government state.
No, federal government is paying 24,500 naira, and they agreed upon this at the tripartite committee meeting. And they had, even at then, there was some organized part of the labor that said they agreed for 22,500. So even within NLC and TUC, there's a bit of division. Because NLC, of course, is the umbrella body, which is advancing for 30,000 naira. But be as it may, government say we're going to pay 24,500 naira. I've been following the tidbits of the information. The Senate President has come out to say the two parties should find a common ground on this. And I can assure you that the meeting that will finish today with SGF and the tripartite committee, the whole thing was to get it over to the President. And of course, it's going to move it to National Assembly. And I expect them to expedite action on this. We saw what happened when they had to reconvene during the INEC's environmental funds for INEC for the election. So this is a national issue. And this is what we need to make our workers to feel a sense of belonging. And this is what is close to all our leaders I expect.
Deliberate action for workers knowing that elections are closed. Okay, want to use that as certificate?
Well, people can say that, but that's not. This has been on for a while. It's been on for a while.
You know, it's even the government you should blame, not the Labour. I pity Labour. I pity, because that's the constituency I belong. But it's not even being unduly sympathetic. The bottom line is that this minimum wage, according to ILO convention, is due for review every 5 years. So if the last one was done in 2011 and this is 2018, Labour has been patient. It took, okay, look, in 2015, in 2016 January, we have a spike in the cost of premium motor spirit from about 87 naira to 145 naira. Yeah. We have had a spike in the electricity, cost of electricity bill, electricity power. You have had to pay stamp duties on every transaction that you are making. So there has been some extra money accumulating to the federal government. What have they spent this money on? Today we are being told that we are still doing under recovery in the name of subsidy. Why that deception? If the Labour have had to bear the brunt over the past 2 years that we have had to, there was an increase in the cost of petroleum products, then you should commend Labour that they have been resilient in not wanting to go on this strike till this period. But it may have coincided with the electionary period, but I think the needful has to be done. Like I said, if the will is there, the way will be there. If it means reviewing the revenue allocation formula to give states more resources, and of course we have talked about diversification, it is doable. Okay.
Final word.
Yeah, I mean,
negotiations still on.
It's still on, but you see,
next you see.
I mean, Labour should have the nation's national interest in the end of it, and they should know where we're coming from. Where were we coming from before? Where are we now? Where are we going to? These are three indices they should look around for, and this government is trying to see how they can actually rejig the country. On the recovery, we knew how much was lost to us for subsidy. No, trillions of naira was actually going there. That's been halted right now.
So Labour is justified now.
a little bit, but we expect them to tamper mercy with justice, and then the interest of the country. Let's continue moving and let's continue
interest,
national
interest.
All ramifications.
Yeah. National interest too, from the government to the workers.
Yeah.
And also the workers to look out for more productivity, like you already pointed out. We should.
But again, I join my brother here to appeal to Labour. Strike may be counterproductive at this point in time. It's better to judge than to war. No matter what, yes, we can continue the negotiation, find a common ground, and of course appeal to the National Assembly whenever this agreement is reached for them to fast track whatever is due to Labour. But again, the government should not push Labour to the wall. Okay,
that's it on this edition of Nigeria Today. Want to appreciate you guys. Didi Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, and also Ayo Akonji. Welcome for the program, and thank you for your time and your insight. We also appreciate you for watching. Tomorrow is another time to join us for another edition at 7:30 in the evening. My name is Blessing Abu. Goodbye.